since Mike Ryan mentioned, do you want to talk some college football? I'm assuming this is in reference to the foot show that
the foot show.
That Jessica.
That's the internal name for foot girls. The foot show.
Oh.
Well, when are we going to do that? Because the season's now over.
No,
and we
it's still going on.
We don't have a
what
name.
are you talking about?
No,
the season has just begun.
It's an excellent point. Not just bowl season, conference championships, obviously underway this weekend, but it's recruiting season. It's a portal season.
Coaching carousel season.
It's incredible right now. This is actually the apex of the college football season, and we have consulted with the talents who weren't super receptive but not hesitant for the Foot Girls title, and we took that information and we hired a very pricey consulting firm, and we've come back with a big open for Jess and Lucy's unnamed college football show that we will unveil this week.
I have not heard this yet. I do not give this my support.
Foot women?
I'm not giving it away. We'll all find out together.
I feel like everybody's rooting for Alabama for the first time ever.
I am an Alabama fan. I've
never rooted for them more.
Chris Cody, you are absolutely right. I decided this year, you know what would be funny if Alabama won the national championship. It would be hilarious.
I just want chaos. I want everyone to win with one loss. I want Florida State to win barely, so they stay undefeated. And, oh, man, I just want FSU to not make it undefeated. That's really what I want here.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is everybody rooting for Alabama? Because I hadn't considered the idea of that. I really had not thought before you just mentioned it that would be a possible thing in my lifetime.
I just want, in the final year of the 4-team playoff, for this committee to have the chaos scenario.
To piss everyone off.
Yeah,
they haven't had to do it that much.
That's why I want them to do the thing.
They've been
Florida State out of there.
They've been bailed out, but you can kind of see these rankings headed into conference championship week, them plotting their escape route. That's all these rankings are right now, because
putting FSU at 4 definitely is like, all right, if they win, they're in.
Yeah,
we're not going to make a hard choice.
You can already see by where the rankings are now that they're plotting for what happens if Bama beats Georgia and Texas wins the Big 12, but FSU wins and Oregon essentially erases their loss against Washington. You could see that this isn't about best team anymore. This is about CYA for the CFP.
Nobody thinks FSU will not get in, though, with a win, right? Like, what if they barely win? What if they look terrible?
I think they'll get in. I think what would be funny, other than Alabama going to the playoff, would be the Pac-12 once again doing the Pac-12 thing, which would be knocking each other out of the playoff entirely, because that has been what the Pac-12 has done for the last however many years. And this year, going into the season, it was like, wow, this is the most stacked Pac-12 conference we've ever seen. There's some great teams like Colorado. There's legitimately, though, like great quarterbacks in this league. They're gonna have someone in the playoff. But then Washington pulling off the win against Oregon means that Oregon, now a heavy favorite on Friday night, 9.5 points, I think. Winning
up. It keeps going up.
Would mean that there's no undefeated Pac-12 champion, and it would be very funny if they got left out in the final season of Pac-12, and we were like, this is the year where they're finally going to have like a super competitive team in the playoff.
Put this on the poll, Juju, please. Is this CYA for the CFB? I'm confused. Forgive me. Forgive my CFP. Excuse me. I'm legitimately confused about why that Washington line keeps going up. Are there injuries that I do not know about?
I don't know what's going on with Penix, and I don't know if he was just super emotional after the win over Wazoo. That could be it. There's not a lot of information, but it looked like they put a cloak over him. He was being escorted out of the stadium, off the field, because he couldn't see, because there was a cloak all over him. I don't know if he didn't want people to see him emotional or if he was hurt. He kind of looked like something was going on there. So the line would indicate something's up.
The other thing I think that is worth considering, though, is also just that Washington's red zone defense and their passing defense is not very good. And Oregon, since the Washington game, has just been an unbelievably unstoppable offense. And so having the Heisman frontrunner Bo Nix against a leaky defense is going to, especially on a neutral field, like remember the first time that they played was at Washington, which is
a big part of it.
A big part of, they had a lot of home field advantage in that game.
But a 14-point swing, right? I don't like a 14-point spread.
It is it's a lot of points, right? 9.5 is a lot of points, but I mean, it is in the first time they played, Lucy and I talked about it on our unnamed college football podcast that like both of these offenses were playing really, really well, but Oregon had the advantage on defense. And Dan Lanning is someone that has coached defense before, and like you trust his defense. And I think that Oregon's only gotten better throughout the season, and actually losing to Washington, they've probably fixed some things that make them a pretty good contender going into the playoff if they do actually make it.
Would you agree with the notion that aside from a college football playoff spot, aside from the Pac-12 championship, this is also the Heisman Trophy on the line on Friday night with the two quarterbacks there?
It would appear that way, right? Because I just got my notification. I'm going to do this preemptively. Oh, wrong one.
Charlotte about to talk?
Okay.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
You know what?
I
I'm
feel
never
bad.
going to stop. I'm never going to stop
Keep
trying.
shooting.
As if you
Atta girl.
could.
Jordan Poole.
Jeremy Taché. Thank you, Mike. I pressed the wrong button because I didn't have my glasses on.
Shack fingers.
Are you going to talk about your Heisman vote?
Yes, because he asked me about which way to vote, and because
Sam Hartman?
because of that game.
Why did you just say Jeremy Taché?
Probably because it was I tell bad
he
jokes, but
tells
they're actually
bad
good.
jokes on purpose?
That's
yes.
my-
Shout out
I
Jeremy.
do
On
that.
purpose. Wait. I think some of them he be
As
trying.
if we're the only ones who have bad jokes in this crowd.
Folks.
I have decided not to cast it until after watching that game, but I have been surprised that Washington keeps that the point spread would change that much from the first time they played. That home field advantage would essentially be worth 14 points if Penix isn't actually hurt. The point that Mike made about, though, the line being where it is, people know something. Is anyone else worried about the fact that Matt Rule is saying that a college quarterback now goes for $1.5 to $2 million, and in some cases $6 million? That's what Matt Rule is saying, whether it's true or not. That all of this stuff, this money, this amount of money, whether it's gambling lines or this amount of money, that you're putting this kind of pressure on kids. They're still kids. Like, I understand that they're famous kids and important kids, but when the professionalism seeps into the sideline and a kid is making his way off the field and Caleb Williams is crying at the end of his games, like, it's an awful lot of pressure to put on kids when you start, on top of everything else, you make the money skyrocket and you wonder how much gambling information is out there on whether a guy is hurt or not.
Well, then, like, we shouldn't put any of it on TV, and we shouldn't pay their coaches $10 million a year either.
Yeah.
They should be rich kids.